Okay, so that's done, and here's our result. Looks pretty good. We can see, of course, that it's much more broken up now. It doesn't have that mushroom look anymore. It's just a very misty look. Now, of course, this will look even more different when we render it. That rendered for me in just or cache, I should say, in just a few minutes. So I'm going to say, let's go ahead and increase the resolution on this. We might as well, if it's going to be that fast, we might as well get more detail out of it, even though this will be a very subtle effect, to be honest with you. So there we go. Change it to 0.05. And this one, we can actually load as a packed disk primitive, because this will go right out to the renderer. So I'm going to say initialize simulation operators, just in case there's a cache that should be thrown out. Now, especially that we just changed the resolution, and save the disk. All right, and here's our new sim. We can definitely see there's more detail in there now. I mean, again, it's going to be a pretty, slight effect on here, but it's nice to know that there's extra detail there, and we really went above and beyond. So let's copy one of these over here, render mist. That will, of course, point to this one. Uh-oh, there we go. We need a material for that. Let's go find a pyro material. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go to the regular material area, type pyro shader. We'll call this one mist. There you go. Put it on there. It's amazing how many elements, like in other lessons we've done where we're just doing just learning about Pyro, it might have one render, and man, we're about to have 5 different renderers, 5 different render passes, and a whole bunch of caches, and God knows what else. So Mantra Mist will, of course, render the mist. I'm gonna get rid of, we'll get rid of that thing too. I'm gonna get rid of the matte stuff. We will actually end up adding the matte stuff back in, but just so that we can render this more quickly, I'm gonna go to our favorite frame, 72, and choose our new mist one, render that. Now let's get ready over on our actual Pyro shader to change stuff. And right off the bat, we definitely want this to be rendered as white. I don't know why my color picker's not coming up anymore, but let's just change it to white. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna say white is definitely a good place to start. We want to have the scattering phase be positive. That'll be because this is going to be, water vapor. So light should be passing through it more, meaning continue going in a positive direction, as opposed to it being dust and particulate, which should reflect light. Even though they're both fine particulate, there's a big difference in how that looks. We also should probably turn the shadow density down, kind of like how we saw with the foam. It may not look that different, but this is already pretty thin. But to be technically accurate, that would be good. What else can we do? I'll take a little screenshot of that. If we look at the alpha here, let's do that thing where we go to the last frame again, because that's where we're going to have the most of it on screen. I want to make sure we don't get any built up areas of alpha again. I don't want this to be like a solid wall of mist. This should just be a subtle effect. It looks pretty good. It's still a little thick here, so I'm going to say on the smoke itself, which is the density, we'll say clamp. Don't ever have any of the density actually be that dense. So what this will do is, I don't know if I already saved this one, but there you go. What this will do is all of the density that's below 0.5 will remain below 0.5, but all the density that is above 0.5 will now be restricted. So that'll help tamp back some of these thicker areas. So you can see it mostly looks the same, but now we have a little bit less of it. Maybe we even went back a little too far, so I'm going to go up to maybe 0.75. We just want to have it back off just enough that we don't get these like pure white areas. That's probably good. And back to the actual look here. So there you go. So again, this will be a pretty slight effect, and all the composing stuff we're gonna do could modify it further from there. But that's it. We have done it. We have run every sim and run every render. And now we need to talk about how to set up our renders for final rendering before compositing.